the essence of spiritual life, and God's heart. Everything that happens in the world has a cause, and the outcome always follows the cause. The same applies to our spiritual life. It is important to look at the cause that led to the result, rather than just judging by the outcome. Understanding God's heart, who allows these causes, is essential wisdom in spiritual life. Understanding the essence of spiritual life, God allows us both prosperity and adversity. The reason is not merely a reward or punishment for our actions, but to examine our inner selves and mature us. Spiritual life is more than just attending church and serving. It is the process of our inner being transforming into a form that pleases God. This transformation means that our hearts and minds draw closer to God, understanding His will, and gaining the ability to live accordingly. Understanding God's heart, the meaning of prosperity. When we prosper, God wants us to realize that it is given by His grace, not just by our efforts. It is important to understand God's intention when we prosper, and act according to His will. Prosperity is a blessing from God, but to sustain it, we must understand God's heart, and live in accordance with His intention. This realization brings gratitude and humility into our lives, motivating us to follow God more faithfully. The reason for adversity is allowed by God to test us, or to mature our faith. Even in difficult times, it is important to understand God's heart and follow His guidance. God, in His love for us, sometimes allows adversity to lead us to a better path. Through such processes, we learn patience and faith, enabling us to live a deeper spiritual life. The right direction for spiritual life. Inner self over actions. Spiritual life is not judged merely by outward actions. What matters is how our inner self changes before God, and how much we understand His heart. Actions are an important means, but the result should fill our inner self with love and faith. Inner transformation signifies the true growth God desires, which is the ultimate goal of spiritual life. Relationship with God. The essence of spiritual life is our relationship with God. Understanding His heart and living with Him is the ultimate goal of spiritual life. We should prioritize our relationship with God and strive for intimacy with Him. Through this, we walk with God in our daily lives and live according to His will. A humble heart. Humility is crucial in spiritual life. Realizing that everything we have is by God's grace and living humbly before Him is important. God delights in a humble heart and gives more grace to such people. Humility shapes our attitudes and our relationships with God and others, leading to true spiritual growth. Conclusion. Spiritual life means more than just attending church and serving. We must understand God's heart and prioritize our relationship with Him. Whether in prosperity or adversity, examining God's heart and following His guidance is the essence of spiritual life. We must strive to be those who understand God's heart and live with Him. Spiritual life means practicing God's will in our daily lives, through a deep relationship with Him, experiencing true peace and joy.